It's like hot in here. It's the summertime, or it's getting warm, so I gotta turn on my fan. Um, it's not like that bad. Like I enjoy living on the East Coast for this reason because like it's 110 degrees in Texas right now, but it's like 89 degrees out here. That's beautiful. That's perfect. So going to the South is highly recommended. Hey guys, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining me on. Oops. Did I mess up my recording? I don't know. It says I'm still recording. All right. Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to the Identity Booth. My name is Hero. It is so nice to have you back here. It has been some time since I've recorded because I've been doing a lot of moving around. But don't worry, I have a backlog, so you guys should be getting like constant information from me. But thanks for coming along. While you're here, while I got your attention, just hit that like button below. It really helps the channel out. Apparently I've been doing a lot better in my stats because I've been getting a lot more likes. So thank you guys so much for doing that. Keep supporting me as I continue to support you, and we can identify with each other in the booth. But today's story is about Robert. Now, this is a person I am kind of upset I'm just now learning about today, because he has and will continue to do some amazing things, but he motherfucking dropped the hammer on Morehouse. And if you don't know, Robert is a billionaire who apparently has money and everything from brewing coffee to technology to CEO, entrepreneur, philanthropist. He is the Black Tony Stark. And if Tony Stark was real, he would be Robert minus the Iron Man suit. Like, it's really incredible to hear what this guy has done. And it's not so much about him we're talking about today, but it's a big part of what he's done, because it leads to a lot of like interesting questions about what's going to happen to this Morehouse class. And if you haven't heard, basically what happened was he went on stage to give their speech, and the end of the year speech. What's the name of that speech? I forgot. You write it down in the comment section. I know like people are yelling at me like, it's the name of the speech, and I'm probably going to blurt it out sometime in the middle of the show. But he basically, the commencement speech, I told you I was going to figure it out. The commencement speech, and he basically challenged not only the alumni of the past and the future, but just anyone who was willing to step up. He offered to pay, he didn't offer, he's going to pay for 400 students student loan debt, which probably comes out to around, their rough estimates 40 million. The low end they're saying is about 28 million. The high end is about 64 million. That is incredible. Like, what a liberating feeling that must have been for those guys. Like, and you just really want to send your heart out to these new students, because people like me were pretty fortunate. I got a scholarship to school. So it's really important for us to like take a second and pause, like think about the luxury that is for these guys. And it's just really important, because Black men in this society have been held down. So to be given a one up from the gate, it sort of makes you feel like, man, this is what it feels like to be on even footing. Like, that is really important. And I'm really interested to see what this is going to look like in the next 10 years. But there's a part of me that's also kind of upset. There's a part of me that wants to say, like, why is it that I'm just now for the first time hearing about this guy? Like, how long has he been doing this? How long has he been in business? How long has he been helping people? Like, where did he come from? All we know about him is that he's an entrepreneur. Like, I feel like he should be someone of importance to the Black community. And I like to consider myself someone who's up to speed in social events that pertain to Black people. And I was caught completely off guard. I had to Google this guy. I had to figure out what was, like, I typed his name into the search engine, and the first thing I got was, is he married? The answer is yes. Second question I got is, has he ever been caught cheating? Which is strange because why are people looking that shit up? But I was kind of caught off guard. Like, how many more of these people are out there who have this knowledge, this power, this ability to make drastic change in the community that I don't know about? I think the closest person I can even compare this to is Oprah. And I only know her because she has a TV show. How many hidden billionaires do we have in the African American community, not actively, they don't have to, it's not their job to speak out, but man, it makes me feel better knowing that he's around. I instantly feel better knowing that people like him are walking around this earth in this country. So I think it's important that we're able to identify these people, because whether they do something for us or not, their sheer presence has an impact, and it's a positive one. I don't want people to get this twisted. This is not something to be compared. Like, you can't compare him to like the likes of Nipsey Hussle or the Beyoncés of the world. Like, this is the status difference. This is the difference between being rich and wealthy. This is the difference between owning a house and owning a city. This is like, they are light years apart. If I had to compare him to somebody, I would probably compare him to Akon, who went from being just a rapper to now being the king of a whole entire country out in Africa. Like, he's brought electricity, affordable housing, running water. He has liberated a group of people that look like him. And I think there's something to be said about that. This is, once again, not to knock anyone's hustle, but I think it's super important for us to ask ourselves a question. When you have people doing these charity events, these fundraiser events, those are very good and well-meaning things. And those are the things you do in order to sustain a certain way of life for people who might not have the opportunity to be impacted if you weren't there. Those are grandiose things that you have to do for your community, and it is much appreciated. It's 10 times more appreciated than I'm going to make this sound, because it kind of, what I'm about to say might come off as a little brash, and it might make me sound like an ass. But to be honest, where do you stand? How do you compare yourself to this dude when he's able to do this? Granted, he has billions of dollars to do this. But when you're doing these charity events just to get a tax write-off so you can hit the mark, so you won't be tax deducted, you won't be heavily taxed, are you doing it out of the graciousness of your heart, or are you just trying to make your situation better? Because if someone's going to take your money to an extent, you might as well give it to someone that looks like you. And that's what a lot of these tax write-offs are, supporting something that you believe in for your benefit. But how much of that benefit will come back to you is the big question. You see this a lot in politics. People don't donate to politicians because they like their values or they find their political stripes important. No, they donate to them so they can bribe. It's literally bribery, because I want you to do something for me so I don't have to worry about the government getting in the way of my business, my moneymaker. So when we look at people like Nipsey Hussle, who, once again, when he died and passed away, and people had this jarring reaction to his death, I was mystified because I didn't even know who this person was. Granted, not my job, but upon an in-depth look into who he was and his way of life, it became very clear to me that he had a hustle mentality that paid off, a mindset that a lot of people aspire to acquire, but the work ethic is what a lot of them are missing. Nipsey Hussle's message will elude a lot of people because they don't have the backbone to basically get up and work. It is super important that we pay attention to that, because as great as Nipsey Hussle's message is and was, it doesn't stop you from supporting people like Killer Mike and David Banner, who have been on this grind for so long. Killer Mike's message and David Banner's message speak volumes, and they have a clear, decisive way of doing things. They're not millionaires. They came up through the mud, and they have what they have, but they are clearly trying to help a generation of people who are willing to listen make waves. There's a lot of people who support and follow that, but I really wish people would pay attention to the heroes we have right now. I like to think to myself what I was doing before here. I think to myself, I graduated from college in 2011. And in 2011, 2012 to 2014, I was in the league. And then I went to grad school. And then I got another job. So, but basically, in the course of 2 years, in the course of, 8 years, 7 years, 8 years, I've managed to make a name for myself, not once, but twice, and put myself into living situations where I would be comfortable and be able to provide for a future family and ostensibly provide a backbone for a group of people who might not have had that support. It's not enough for you to want to be successful just for you. You have to be successful for your village. They need you. They need you more than ever, to be honest. And that's my mindset. Is I don't have the luxury of just being successful once. I need to have multiple forms of revenue. I need to have multiple forms of success. I need to be able to supply the demand of my people. And that is a big thing for me. So it's very important. I'm specifically going to be looking into these kids a little bit more. The tenure cycle for these kids is going to be extremely interesting to me, because we have a lot of data and revenue that shows us what happens when, white kids have their school paid off and they can go into a rubber band business or whatever mom and dad are doing and just take over their line of work. But what happens when these individuals can start businesses from day one? That is a game changer. A lot of these kids were considering, what were they going to do until they can get into a line of work, or what type of work could they do to start paying off these exorbitant, these extraordinary debts. Now they have an answer. They've been given they've been given a chance. So it's really important for them to take advantage. I hope they form a camaraderie. All of them instantly became brothers that day. So they all need to keep in touch with each other. They all have skills and talents that they're all going to need, and no better way than to reach across the aisle to someone you graduated with and say, I made a business with him. Because I know a lot of people from my school. Shout out to Joy, shout out to Elena, shout out to Ray, shout out to anybody who's doing their damn thing out there. But man, one of my greatest goals, and it continues to be my goal, is to find a way of collaborating with my own classmates, because those were the people that came out the mud with me. They know my struggle. I know their struggle. And it's just something nice to see. It's a beautiful thing to see your brother and your sisters prosper, man. It's a beautiful thing. But, in all, tying it all back, Robert, he didn't create a trend. He's created a tradition. In that group of 400, he has created a few billionaires. In that group of 400, he has created a transition, a change. There is no more, I don't got it. One of those kids, a few hundred of those kids are going to be billionaires. He has created the next generation of billionaires in that group. And it's a black man. It's a fucking black man. It makes me happy to know that there aren't people giving up on us, because society seems to have given up on us. But it's just further proof we have to look out for one another. It is so important for us to understand who our allies are. We have them everywhere, but it's so important for them to be visible, to be boisterous, to be outspoken, to make your stance and sit on your throne. It is so important for these small acts of kindness or these grandiose acts of kindness to be celebrated. It helps. It fucking helps. And Robert, you didn't do not a damn thing for me except for giving me a reason to talk about my people for the last 13 minutes. But I like to thank you personally, because up until this day, I didn't know someone like you existed. And now that I know you exist, I can find more people like you. I can learn from more people like you because you've already done all the groundwork. It's pretty much laid out in paper, all the way from your CEO as Vista Equity Partnership, all the way down. I can follow your trajectory. I can see how you did it. I can see the mistakes you made and get better at it. It's pretty interesting to have help. It's super awesome to have help, and we appreciate you. And from one person, from one business owner to another, I'm grateful for the trials and tribulations you've gone through to help people like me prosper. And I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate everything you've done for these students. They literally don't know how good you just set them up. And I mean, it's just going to keep me smiling for a few days, but that's just me. This is the Identity Booth. This is a podcast that I like to do. I'm going to be getting busy here real soon, so if you want to check up on me, you can do that on Instagram, Facebook. I got my Twitter back up. You can listen to this on Google Play, Player FM. I saw Anchor has an app for it on iPhone, so I'm definitely going to put us on there. Anywhere you think you want to listen to me, you can find it. All that information in the description below. If you made it this far, just hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave me a comment. Tell me about somebody in your life who's been super influential to you and you didn't know them before they did something influential for you. That is a great... I dropped my other recording phone. So, yeah, tell me about somebody that was super influential to you, somebody that did something major for you in your life, and you didn't know them before they did it for you. I would love to hear some of these stories. Leave it in the comment section below. But in the meantime, in between time, take care of yourselves. Continue to identify with me as I identify with you guys. It's been a pleasure. Take care.